Stop sending your kids to the all-white schools for access to better education. As someone whose parents did the same, we've talked about it, they regret it. Let me tell you why. It causes irreparable damage to your self-esteem and your mental health that takes so much time and effort to self-correct that it's not worth it. But sending them to an all-white school with people who do not look like them is not the answer, I promise you. This is how you have people getting on the internet talking about like divesting from the black community, or like people who are like, it's just a preference, it's just a preference. Like, no. Also, how you have people my age, 28, who cannot date people the same skin complexion as them because it makes them uncomfortable. It's not their preference, when in reality, it's just this thing that's like in their head that they can't shake, but they don't have the language to explain it. And it's very, I'm sure it's embarrassing for them, but it's also very embarrassing being on the receiving end of that. All of those people, the common denominator is they did not grow up with people who looked like them and developed a fucked sense of reality that honestly they probably will never unsee. And I just don't think the access to better education is worth it. And I feel like people are so quick to judge these suburban black kids who have these types of problems and are just like, well, you can just like think differently. And I don't think you understand, when you have been fighting for your life in defense of your race since you were 10 years old, it is not like a switch that you can just like get back into and think like properly. It takes effort, and it's really fucked up, all in pursuit of a better education that honestly we all should have access to anyways, but we have a system that gives priority to wherever taxes go or whatever bullshit. I don't feel like explaining it. Send your kids to school with people who look like them and pay for the extra tutors. Put them in Kumon or something. Or yeah, maybe send them to the white school and put them in environments with people who look like them so they don't forget who they are, because the aftermath is scary. The aftermath is how you have people like freaking Candace Owens. And as someone who had to spend a majority of their early 20s unlearning all of that, I could have been doing anything else. But instead, I had to unlearn racial trauma that I shouldn't have been exposed to in the first place. So, general PSA, just don't do it. Or if you're going to, like, have guardrails, but it's 110% not worth it.
Or the rage you feel when you start to become conscious. I still ask myself, do they like black girls when I've got a crush? Ah, my friends gave me a mix, and I definitely think it helped. And let's talk about parents who take these kids to this kind of schools. It has more to do with their attainment to what they think whiteness is, or whiteness has the ability to do, and to a point where they believe that you shouldn't even be speaking your native language, you should be speaking only English, and they completely erasing that from you, and you go into this blank, because you are over assimilating yourself into this box of whiteness. Meanwhile, whiteness does not care about you, or the people around you, rather. You are overcompensating yourself. Yes, I didn't know I was pretty until I was 23, because going to PWIS, I was told I wasn't beautiful. I used to cry that I wasn't blonde and white. I felt this so personally. It was so not worth it. When I was younger, I took "you're not like other black people" as a compliment, and that is exactly why. And I think also what my parents don't realize about me is that I hated, well, I think they know this. I think my parents know this. I hated white schools. Like, it was so obvious. Like, I hated it. Mainly because my earlier age, um, like kindergarten level, I went to a black school. Like, it was a black school with black kids, and they equally traumatized me as well. But okay, they equally traumatized me, but my dad was there to revive it. Like, it wasn't as bad as it got to, because it was more on a racial level. And then the more on a school with black kids was more like kids being bullying you because you're quiet and you're more kept to yourself and you love being around your parents, that kind of vibe. But for me personally, I feel that I just hated, I just did not like. I just did not like white schools. Like I feel like I had to when I went to black schools, I had to unlearn. Like I went from doing R A E O U to A B C D that I could not even do. By the way, I had to learn Afrikaans, which I never spoke, from learning Sotho and Zulu, Sepedi rather, my native language, to learning completely English. And like it was a flip. It was a flip. Like my parents, my mom was did not want to be a homestay wife anymore because she and then my it's a long story, it's a long, thinking about it gives me a migraine. Like she decided that okay, she now wants to work, and then my dad does not have to do all the duties alone. She's now bored of being at home. She decided that raising me for the last 6 years with the help of a maid, Sophia, Sophie, not Sophie, Sophia, Sophie, Mani Sophie. Damn. With the help of her, she even had to let her go. I loved her so much. She helped me a lot, that woman. I loved her a lot. But I guess this is why I struggled in preschool, because I just loved her. I love my money. I love her a lot. Even though she was my mom's helper, I loved her a lot. She did so much for me. Like I can't explain it. Like I know I'm mumbling a lot, but I hope you get the clear picture. It was just too much of a shift for me, just to put it bluntly. Sometimes it never gets corrected, and that part is scary. Experiencing both PWI and PBI, you're subjected to trauma from both. I think it's important for parents to constantly teach self worth awareness to children at home, for them to maneuver through any, I don't know, what is that? ENV? I don't know what that is. Uh, this is 100%. It takes years to unlearn. And I think parents who do this mainly take their kids to these kind of schools for their own selfish desires. Really, they are lazy to do the work, so they just send them to especially black parents, where they live in a system where it does not care about them, so they're lazy to do the work, so they send their kids to the schools. And these schools are then forced to just teach them like they are white kids, and you're not a white child. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yep, my parents did the same thing, and I will never be putting my children through that. Yes, but also, banks get the hell out of me. Whew, I need a support group. It was so isolating. Girl, I didn't think I was attractive until my mid 20s. My schools weren't the best, but I'm so glad I grew up around other black folks. Because, okay, going to HBCU helped me unlearn everything. It's scary to think about who I would have been without the experience. TBL, what? Okay, whatever that is. Here's my overall take on this subject. If you're going to take your kids to this kind of schools, at least take them to a mixed school where they can integrate with other learners as well from all kinds of races. That way, it gives them a different perspective, not just the kids around them, but your child as well. Putting them in a school that's predominantly a certain race when they are different from that race, it is very harmful. It is not something to be proud of. Most especially if you're a black child or a black child who's mixed with other descendants. You'll be forced to divert from yourself to constantly fit into that niche of that school. Oftentimes, you'll be used as an example or be used as someone who does the crime for these people so that you can fit in, rather than noticing that they are exploiting you. You won't see it. You'll see it as someone who's just trying to fit in. Oh, that's what you need to do to be accepted.